Hey, how's it going? Just gonna thumb around here for a little bit. I've never been live before, so yeah, it's cool. Put me on the spot. Oh, yeah, we're gonna start out. We're gonna do some soul singing, and then just get into some topics to discussion. About the path to protection, just like the video is called. I'll definitely get more into that. Just give me a couple minutes here. Let me get loosened up. Out on the sunset, I find myself. I haven't seen such beauty in a long time. It's the nighttime that's coming to a close. Yeah, it's fun when you're doing all that kind of stuff. You just sing whatever comes to your heart. You know what I mean? All right. It's enough of a goofy little beginning. Yeah, so path to protection. So what I really want to talk about is how to protect your energy, right? I'm just going to go right into it. If you feel like you're a light worker, or if you feel like you're a healer, this kind of stuff is for you. I think one of the reasons why protection is so important is because when you're on the path of healing, right? Which there's no like magic concept behind that. You're in the path of healing, right? It's you making it your mission in life to go and empower others, right? To go and make the lives of other people better, even if it's a smile at the grocery store, just something so simple like that. You're taking your intention and you're putting it out there in a good way, right? And the reason why we need protection is because the duality of life, right? Good and evil. Even if you don't believe in good and evil believes in you, trust me. It always wants to stay in balance, right? This perfect harmony. So now, what I find ends up happening is that evil is powerful, right? It's powerful. It's alpha, to where good is just it's signal, It doesn't need to trample all over other people in order to justify itself. But evil's not like that, right? Evil's not like that. Evil needs to consume other things in order to really, feel alive. We can look at this in like the Vedic astrology sense, and I'm not going to draw a direct comparison, but we look at Rahu, the northern node of the moon. He is the head without the body. Right. So it's that part of ourselves that always just wants to consume for, any specific area of life. Like some people, they want to just like consume food, or some people just like, they can't get enough of this one specific thing. Like, for instance, I have my Venus and my Rahu conjunct together, right? And I guess that kind of makes sense for the type of content that I make. But it's like that Venetian part of me, is with that northern node of me, and so it's just you can never really get enough from the outside. You know what I mean? There's no amount of consumption or intake that you can get that would satisfy something that doesn't even have a stomach, And then the southern node of the moon, that's called Ketu. Now, Ketu is the body without a head, right? So just think about the conception of that. It's the whole body, so it's complete, right? But it doesn't really know where to go, right? It doesn't have like, And so what ends up happening with K2 is ends up cutting things out of your life that don't matter, right? And so now why I think that this is significant is because, K2, which I'm going to refer to as like the goodness, even though that's not at all what it means, just for the sake of this conversation, it just wants to, be more of itself. It just wants to, exist with it. That makes sense. I know it's a little weird. But Rahu is the head without the body, right? So it's always craving more and more and more. And so it naturally, if we look at that type of comparison, the thing that always wants to consume more and to grow and to just be stronger and blah, 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 is naturally going to find something docile and something that's more concerned with inner truth as food to eat, right? And so that's why protection is so important, because when we're out here on our spiritual journey, right, and we're trying to align ourselves and figure out who we are, what we want, where we want to go, right, on the most authentic level, the lions are out. The lions are out, and they see all of that. And since we all naturally have this, this dichotomy inside of us, the lions, when they're acting like lions, people aren't always like lions, right? It's just a part of them that comes out. They're attracted to just eat up all the goodness, right? Now, sometimes it could be out of just a sense of inferiority or or something like that. But anyway, all that aside, you get the point. Evil loves to just eat good, right? And you can find that even with kids. You got the nicest kid out there, he's got the most gentle soul, and all the other kids want to pick on him, right? Not saying that those are bad. It's an innately human thing that I have found. Good is always getting trampled on. You know what I mean? And that's very prevalent in our society today. We have all of these good things which have these roots in inauspicious characteristics or qualities. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we're going to help the kids, but it's we're going to make it super political. We're going to divide the entire country, and then we're going to spin off of it so all these different corporations and all these different politicians can make a bunch of money from the publicity, and then in the end, maybe they'll get about 10%. I mean, that's just the way it is. Or we want to, we want to help these kids, but it's with an agenda, Like, I mean, what the kids from after World War I, the kids, who are, this big, were the kids who fought World War II, right? Those were the Nazis of World War II, So you understand how important it is, and you understand how much manipulation goes into things that are seemingly good and virtue signaling, but the terrible, terrible ends that can come from, manipulating an entire generation, for some financial goal, for some power struggle, and it's all too real. So protection. So I'm going to call this a protection spell, but it's, from what I'm going to explain, you're going to see it's not really a spell, but many people think it's a spell, So I want to do this. Now, I'm going to get into the discussion about belief after I give this little demonstration, which is super simple. Don't you worry about it. But yeah, then I'll get into how belief takes a role in this. Now, if you were to do a protection spell, typically there would be like incantations that you would say along with those things, or repeated sentences or specific sentences, and those things allow you to really hone in on your intention. Right now, our intention is where we're placing our energy here. So we know we need protection, right? And this is like psychological protection. That's a very easy way to understand it. Psychological protection, not being so influenced by the things we hear, the things that we see, or even listening to the things that we ourselves say. Our own words can influence us when they're said impulsively or when they're said really without heart in them. We hear ourselves say them, and then, they can manipulate us. So this is very important. So you're just going to take a match and you're just going to light it, right? And now what we're doing is we're staring into the flame, and we're not just staring into the flame, right? We're imagining that flame around us, right? Now, many people know what an aura is, right? It's our, it's the energetic field or the magnetic field that comes around our body. The earth has one too. and it protects us from extremely dangerous solar radiation and all that kind of stuff. But what we're doing with this is we're imagining that flame around us. So what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to get in touch with our aura. It's going to allow us to understand and feel what our aura is, because we're placing our attention on it. So, for instance, if you look at your arm here, right? Look at your arm and point a spot. Now look at that spot without touching it and think about that spot, right? You can kind of feel that spot where you're aware of that particular point on your arm, right? But you're not touching it. It's just your awareness going to that particular spot. So when we do the trick with the flame, it's the same thing. We're being able to place our awareness on specific parts of our reality. I think a better way we can give this example is, instead of using a match, we can use a butane torch. I think this is more accurate, its representation. So you see that, right? That's a flame. We have to imagine that we are inside of that thing, right? And then through the imagining of us being inside of it, we are able to better imagine it being around us, right? And then you can also associate other feelings like warmth, to enhance this awareness over this, non-physical aspect of our life. So once we've established that, right, this awareness over our bubble, right? You can call it a comfort bubble or whatever, people, don't come into my bubble. Once we're aware of that, and that is when we can turn our intention to it and create a protection spell, right? But we have to be aware of it first. All of this stuff means nothing without belief, right? And so I think I'll touch on belief right now. Belief is the central aspect of the human experience, at least in my opinion. I read a book called Map to Meaning, The Architecture of Belief. And it's astounding how the same, I guess you could call them conical beliefs, right? Fundamental beliefs, are just innate to the human experience, innate to us being human and being a part of a society, right? And being a part of a community. And so belief it's absolutely the most important thing that we can cultivate as a human, is our own ability to believe, right? Now, we can believe in physical things, absolutely, but it's much more important to believe in the things that we can't interact with ourselves. And that, believing in a spirit, believing in that energetic field that surrounds us. Believing in frequency, right? When I'm in a good mood, I'm at a higher frequency and good things just seem to happen. When I'm in a low frequency, it just seems to keep me stuck that way. It's hard to believe things that we can't empirically see in others. I think that's a good way to say that. Which is why people who say they've been abducted by aliens and everything like that, and have these extremely compelling stories, these extremely compelling beliefs, but it doesn't really sway my opinion that much because I'm not experiencing it for them, So, belief. When we're doing a protection spell, right? We're protecting ourselves from, anything. It just depends on how into all of it you are. But we're protecting ourselves from the vibrations that other people or other things or situations are coming to us. They're probably not sending them our way. Most people are not malicious, but unintentionally we can send those negative vibrations out, and that can come in the form of talking behind somebody's back, lying to somebody, having an ulterior motive, all of those things, come from a central core truth, right? Because there is a truth. There is an objective truth, and they all come from that. And so when we manipulate the truth as it comes out of our mouths, or we manipulate the true feelings we have about that truth as it, comes out of us, then we can get into the realm of casting spells, because essentially, very basic level, that's what casting spells are, and people don't even know it, but allowing those negative thoughts and those negative feelings, emotions, words, actions to permeate out into the physical, So I made a video a little bit ago about the power of speech, and I think that that's a pretty relevant right now, and how we as humans, we can create vibration, vibration frequencies. I can't create light. I can't write something down without a pen, but I do have an innate system within me to create vibrations, and through those vibrations, that's where all of this stuff happens at. So that's why this is so important, because if you're a light worker, or if you're a healer, or if you're on this journey to just make the world a better place, then people are gonna hate you for it. They are, just at a baseline. Maybe not them in the core of their being, because nobody's essentially that evil, but seeing the goodness reminds others of their own goodness, right? And maybe their lack of confidence to allow that to be expressed to the world. Maybe the insecurity of not having enough money will prevent somebody from, giving that dude $1. Why not, dude? If you got the $1, just give him the $1. It's cool. We don't have to prove a point, And so we have, it couldn't, if you're a healer, if you're a light worker, and you're on this journey, and you've been kind of like coming into your own revelations lately about like who you are, what you want to do, and what you're willing to do in order to get that done, then you need to cultivate a belief that you have power to protect yourself. Now, it's not going to pay your bills for you. You still have to go out there and work, or at least you still have to generate income or set your life up in a way to where, it's not necessarily as important, but you have to believe that you can protect yourself with your own energy. You know what I'm saying? And you have an intuition that will tell you the difference between right and wrong. You do. And it's good. It's never going to turn out to be like, oh, I think that, stealing is good because, my intuition does. No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Our intuitions point us in the right direction. It's just, are we willing to listen? Are we? Are you willing to listen? And so when we come back to the flame here, just remember that your energy that permeates you every moment of every day is waiting to listen to you. But it will not listen to you if you don't believe in it. So just remember that. I'm going to pull a card just for fun here at the end. Well, I guess, yeah, we'll do the old Rider Waite. And then we'll do an animal spirit as well. So let's see what wants to come out. What messages do we have today for everyone? All right, something fell. Oh, okay, here we go. All right, so we got the Page of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune, and we've got the World. World reversed. And that's saying, if you got something building up in your heart right now, if you do, don't matter what it is. If you got something building up in your heart, believe in it. And don't stop believing in it. I know it's corny, it's a good song, but don't stop believing in it. No matter what comes down the pipeline, know your truth. Stand in your own power. We all can do that. Stand in it. and be willing to do whatever it takes in order to maintain that power. And the universe will provide you with the next step. It will provide you with an extraction. And so just remember that as these gears are turning, right, as the world is slowly coming into alignment with what you really want, the old cycle will close off and the new cycle will begin. Now, new cycles are scary because they're so confusing, but I don't know, I wrote this a little while ago. How many new beginnings come with a season's end? Oh, how confusing it is to begin again. And that's, I think, extremely relevant in the times we live in, So let's not do anything impulsive, but let's do stuff that's genuine, okay? And I hope you have a fantastic evening. Thank you for joining me on this Friday. If you would like to support this kind of work, you could just email me. So it'd be cool. I really look forward to hearing from you. This is really exciting. I'm very happy to start this new chapter of my life, and I'm very excited to help so many people start new chapters of their lives because they can and they deserve it. So thank you very much. Have a great Friday.